Hello, 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 and welcome to today's episode of Her Version. This podcast is dedicated to sharing stories of struggle and triumph, a platform that allows individuals to tell their truth in order to inspire and uplift others. For those of you that are new to this podcast and like content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you follow, like, and share. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria. Let's jump right in. Hello, and thank you for joining us today on this episode of Her Version. This podcast is built on storytelling and the understanding that many times our greatest learning experiences come from listening to other people's stories. Today, I'm speaking with an amazing woman named Michelle Wax. Michelle is a dating coach that helps you build confidence to attract the one and create a great relationship that lasts. Michelle has been featured in Forbes, Business Insider, Well and Good, and Fast Company, and is a four-time entrepreneur that ties in mindset, science, and psychology into her Be the One method to attract your partner with more ease and more joy. She has interviewed hundreds of people across 50 states on how they create more joy and fulfillment in their own lives. And it all comes back to one thing: relationships, the relationships with others, and most importantly, with yourself. Michelle will be sharing her journey through her own life and how she came to love the industry she is in. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, thank you. I so appreciate you taking some time out of your day to hang out and tell us a little bit about who you are and your journey that you've been on thus far in your life. How's your Thursday?
It's going really good. I'm here in Boston, so it's finally getting nice and warm, which is nice.
Yes, you're going into the nice stuff, and we're going into the hot, steamy jungle down here in Florida.
Right,
So
exactly.
every year you guys probably go, is winter coming? I hope it doesn't get too cold. And then every year we're like, is summer coming? I hope it doesn't get too hot.
Yeah, I can't leave the AC for sure.
Exactly, 100%. But I'm originally from the suburbs of Chicago, so I don't miss the cold very much. I enjoy it
Yes.
down here. So listen, Michelle, I would love to kind of just jump into a little bit of your backstory and how you ended up in the fun industry. I feel like this is fun
Mhm.
industry that you're in, and then kind of roll from there. Is that cool?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I really started my entrepreneur journey back in, oh man, probably about 8 years ago now. And so, growing up, I'd always wanted to have a business. I thought that would be in the food industry. And after college, I worked at a tech startup in Boston. And I had this moment in time where it was around 2014 when Ebola was a thing, right? Obviously, we've gone through a lot since then. But I had this moment where I was like, wow, what if I kind of have some freak incident happen to me and I die and I never actually tried to go after what I wanted? Because in my mind at the time, I was thinking, I'll wait till I'm 40, 45, 50 to start a business. And so I started really small on the side of my full-time job and was able to grow up that cookie company. Also opened a secondary company, which was a local incubator space for other food startups to start and grow. And I reached this point where, a couple years in, it was about 4 years in, I thought that's what I wanted to do with my life. I'd worked really hard and got after what I wanted. But every single day I was waking up and objectively looking into that environment, you would think I was doing well, I was happy, all these things. But I really wasn't feeling that internally. I was feeling
Wow.
the stress and the self-doubt and the worry and all these more negative emotions that didn't make sense to me because my whole life I'd, been taught that you work hard, you get what you want, and then you'll be happy.
Yes. Yes.
So that's really where I started to make a shift in my own life. And I got really this internal angst and frustration where I was like, what is going on here? So I started to dive into things like mindset, neuroscience, how to really start rewiring the mind to build more positive emotions. And that's really where the journey started into, as you mentioned in the beginning, interviewing all these people across the state. So I jumped in my Jeep and I filmed a documentary on how everyday people are creating more happiness and fulfillment in their own lives Obviously, that was an amazing experience, right? I was traveling everywhere, talking with hundreds of people. And it really came back to the relationship that you have with yourself as much as it is relationships with others as well, right? And so I started to tap into the deeper end of doing that dating coaching, improving the relationship you have with yourself, the confidence, all these different things in order to attract in the right person into your life.
Nice. I love it. So, why did you decide to go into relationships, dating versus just how to have a relationship with yourself? What was the draw towards that?
Yeah. So, kind of running parallel to all the entrepreneur things I was doing, I had just always been fascinated with dating psychology myself. I'd gone through my own personal journey there with, going on so many dates and really not clicking with people. And still, I started improving that in myself. And I was always the person that my friends would come to for dating advice and tips and things like that. And I just really loved it. And I feel like, I listen to a lot of different podcasts and they say, pay attention to what people say you're good at, and also, of course, what you enjoy doing, what comes like naturally to you.
Yeah.
And so those two things matched up. And I had been doing a lot of corporate workshops that spawned from doing the documentary and along the lines of mental wellness, mindset, things like that. But I was really craving going deeper with people. And so that's really where the dating coaching began. And I kind of had this series of events happen where I took it as signs from the universe. I was like, this person should have never been able to find me, right? I had a very small following at the time and they did, and this happened and this happened. And so have been going on from there.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, I have to ask, what is your take on dating apps?
So I view them as simply opportunity to connect with more people, right? Than we used to be able to without them. I know they can be frustrating. I know they can be very draining. I've gone through that myself as well. But shifting the mindset around, okay, this is an opportunity to meet different people. Not everyone's going to be a great fit, right? If you go into a supermarket or a bar, right, you're not going to connect with everyone there, find them attractive necessarily, but it's expanding the opportunity.
Exactly. I love that. Absolutely. I one of the biggest frustrations I have, I'm in a lot of single mom Facebook groups, and
Mm.
anytime there's a post about dating apps, there's always all of this negative swirl around how horrible they are, and it's frustrating. I always jump in because I had such an amazing experience with dating apps, so much so that when I met my now fiance, I was actually bummed.
Oh. You
I
can. Oh my gosh, I
was
love
actually
it.
like, dang it, I really like him, like enough to stop this. And having that internal conversation with myself, because I totally enjoyed it. And even the negative stuff where somebody would, allude to being thinner or taller than they actually were in person, or having more hair than they actually had in person. I don't know. I just found it funny
Yeah.
and exciting, and like, I don't know. I literally had no negative, and I probably went on a total of maybe 20 to 25 dates slash, short little spurts of like, 4 weeks, 4-month
Mm.
relationships during that. And then met my fiance, who I've now been with for 4 years. But I
Mm.
love it. I love that you're down with that, and you leave that open for interpretation. So I want to ask, what's been your greatest challenge in creating healthy romantic relationships for yourself or for others?
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like with this, for me, for a long time, and I've definitely shifted my mindset on this and help people shift their mindsets, where it would be great if everyone had your mindset of going in with it with like a lightheartedness, right? It's exciting, it's different. Even if it's not what you expect, it's still an experience. But for a long time, I had a scarcity mindset around dating. And I was thinking, oh my God, there's no one good left, right? Even when I was in my 20s, which of course there's still plenty of people at any age. It doesn't matter how old you are. But I think a lot of the time society kind of ingrains, especially when you hit a certain age, as a woman or a man, doesn't really matter, right? We should have found that person or else we're doomed. And so shifting out of that has been powerful because I'm sure you experience this too, going on dates when you have that energy about you, right? That it's lighthearted, it's exciting. you're excited to be there, it's not a draining or boring experience, people pick up on that and they're going to be more drawn to you to begin with. So that was a big shift for me, is getting clear on what I wanted and that I could actually have it, right? I didn't have to settle. That was huge. And once I did that, of course, my current boyfriend, right, popped into my life, right, in an unexpected way. And from there, I think in building that relationship, what's been a challenge for me and that I'm still working on is realizing that he processes things differently, right? So say we have a disagreement, or there's some conflict there. I'm a very action-oriented person. I want to fix things right away and talk about it right away. He needs a little bit more time to process it, maybe a bit of step away, right? Go for a walk, something like that, which is fine. But in my head, right, I want to fix it right away. So realizing that and becoming aware of it, that people are processing things differently and have different perspectives on it, has been helpful too, in like building a deeper connection and not just getting like really frustrated in the moment.
Definitely. So when you're coaching individuals on creating relationships for themselves, is it action based? Like, I want you to go out this week and like,
So
I'm just imagining like, oh my God, that's a lot of pressure. Like, is it action oriented like that?
No, so it's a combination, right? Because of course there has to be action. The person isn't going to just show up at your home, right? Hopefully not. That would be weird. But I really focus a lot on getting clear on where you're at today and what you truly want, right? Building that belief that you can have it, right? Building the belief that there is someone out there and they're circling and they're closer than you actually think. And then taking the appropriate action, right? So I work with people that are more introverted and they want to go on maybe a date once every 2 weeks. That's great. We just want to make sure as much as we can, like we're filtering in the right person to go on that date with, right? Other people I work with, right, they're more extroverted. They want to get out there. They're going on 3 or 4 dates a week and that works well for them. But it all depends on personality and like, of course, what you're comfortable with. But I always do encourage people to, normally when people come to me, of course, they're looking for that relationship. They're ready to prioritize it. So they're ready to take some action on it. But it just depends on kind of like the consistency of it.
Got it. Do you help people write up their profile? Like if they decide like, hey, I'm deciding that I want to go on to match.com, do you help them with their?
Yes. So that's something that I do, is I do dating profile audits if you already have one out there, to tap into, okay, what could be tweaked to filter in the right type of people on a conscious level, but also I'm big into the subconscious and what we're kind of even sometimes not knowing that we're putting out there or maybe portraying on a subconscious level. So I do dating profile audits. And then also too, if we're working together, I'll help you create that as well or tweak it if you don't have one just yet.
Yeah. I actually loved my dating profile.
Yeah.
Like I wish I would have screenshot it. On my dating profile, which you probably wouldn't recommend, but I'm like, I have a funny side. Like I find myself hilarious. So what I would do is every single week, I would update the written description. So I had my regular description written, which I thought was half hilarious, half like serious. It was very boundaries, like a lot of boundaries were set because I had just come out of a toxic relationship. So I was like, I have to set real solid boundaries. But then after that description, I started making notations weekly. So I'd be like week 1, and I do like a little 4-sentence hilarious blurb of like the date or dates that I went on.
That's amazing.
So I think that's kind of even what attracted my now fiance, because by the time I met him, I was probably like 15 weeks in, 18 weeks in. So it was hilarious reading all the stuff that you had written down as far as like your internal commentary of the experiences that you had, and then more boundaries. So like because of certain days, I was like, notation, I am no longer doing this. But that's fun. So that's cool. That you do that, because that's huge. Is just what to write. And that's, even floating around through mommy apps and stuff, I'll sometimes tell people like, what's in your description where you are attracting people like this? Because,
Yeah.
if you had set boundaries within your description, first of all, you should be cognizant enough to not have let it get this far. And second, a person like this should have not even bothered with you if you would have, written that a little bit differently.
Yeah, and I feel like it is important. I love what you did. That's such a great thing because it stands out. And I think too with dating apps, dating profiles, right? Whatever you're using, there's so many people, so you have to stand out, right? And it's like you have to. A lot of people put they love traveling, they love eating out, right? And it's like, okay, everyone's writing that. What
Yeah.
can you do to stand out?
Yeah.
And really interrupt the pattern that people are just swiping and just going through people, right? Like, what can you do to kind of interrupt that subconscious of just
Yeah.
swiping and like blahness about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and being aware too of, like you were saying, right? How did this person even really filter in from what? Yeah, and a lot of
Yeah.
the times it's hard because we're so close to ourselves. So that's why it's good to have someone on the outside come in and be like, okay, you didn't mean it like this, I'm sure, but this is what could be perceived, right?
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was also nice too because you could tell who was very interested because they read the whole thing.
Mm.
Like if they read the whole thing at the very end, I put like, if you're still reading to this part, let's grab a taco and a green smoothie or something like that.
Mhm.
So like 50% of the people, they could have scrolled all the way to the bottom, but 50% of the people did actually say, like, I'd like to take you up on that taco and green smoothie, which in my mind was more like I gravitated more towards them because I assumed that they probably read or at least tried to skim, the thing, which then makes the pool of people that I'm looking at so much smaller versus
Yeah.
just the people I could tell that just read like the first little blurb of like, I like yoga.
Yeah, and it's more intentional too. I think too with it can be draining if you're giving your energy to so many different people. So it's good to be more intentional about it or to kind of have that almost filter that you had of like, okay, if they commented on that last line, then I
Yeah,
know that they're more invested in it to start out with. And
exactly.
then your energy doesn't get drained.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as far as, all the other things that you've learned about within personal development, what is your take on your clients actually diving into that arena within themselves?
Yeah, so it's extremely important to become self-aware, first of all, of where you're at today, what have might have, drawn into that or created that, right? Which we always have power to transform the future. So building that belief as well that your past doesn't define the future. And then tapping into, okay, where do you want to go, right? I like to compare it to a GPS system, right? It's like, okay, we have the starting location of where you are today, destination, what's the path we're taking to get there? It's going to be different for everyone. But I think depending on, I do a pretty in depth intake form and intake session with everyone that works with me to make sure that if they prefer podcasts to reading books, right? I'm going to give them more audio oriented things that are going to help in their shift. But personal development is huge because I feel like it transformed my life entirely. And it just really helps you know yourself, and you're always going to be with yourself, right? People can come and go, right? Life is very unpredictable and unexpected, but the one thing you can always count on is yourself. So you might as well strengthen that and build up the emotions you want to be feeling daily with yourself first, and then have that other person come in.
What would you recommend as far as people that are single right now and looking to mingle? Would you recommend them to just dive in to dating, or would you recommend them to work on themselves first or do both at the same time? What's your
Yeah.
advice usually?
I personally always recommend doing both at the same time because a lot of the time, especially if we want that relationship, we want that person, it can be kind of frustrating if we're just sitting here like doing our own personal development, right? That's just how my mind works. But yeah, I think it's the first step is getting really clear on what type of relationship you want, right? And not taking into consideration what you should have, right? What your parents want for you, what your brother wants, what your friends say, what do you truly want? Like, how do you want to be feeling in that? Who do you want that person to be, right? What do you want to be experiencing? And then once you're clear on that, then you can start to incorporate that into that dating profile, right? Into if you do meet someone out in the world, right? Kind of like filtering it through that. But I think it is a balance of working on yourself because no one's ever going to be perfect, right? Everyone's a human being. So I don't recommend just waiting because you feel like you're not ready, because everyone has their own things going on. No one's going to be perfect, right? So you can work with someone to grow together.
Absolutely. Definitely. Do you go over, is there like a for the I don't know, for some reason while you were talking, money popped into my mind. I don't know why. But is there, I think when you said, what do you want? So right away I was like, some women want to be going out to dinner 5 to
Mhm.
6 times a month.
Mhm.
Is that kind of the angle that you're going on with that? Or what are you talking, are you talking about like I like to cuddle on the couch? Or what's your
Yeah. So, what do you want in the relationship that you're craving? So, that could be, of course, things like physical appearance, but more importantly, how do you want to be feeling, right? What's that experience? Are you feeling on edge and anxious around this person? You probably don't want to be feeling that, right? Are you feeling calm, supported, love, things like that? Getting clear on those emotions, as well as like, how are they around your family? How are they around your friends, right? Getting really crystal clear on that, first. And then when you start to go on dates with people, instead of getting like sucked into someone who just really likes you, right? Then you can be like, okay, but do I like them? Are they aligned? They don't have to match with everything, right? A lot of the times you can grow together in certain areas, right? They don't have to match every single thing on the list. But are they giving you more of those emotions you want to be experiencing? Or are you just kind of getting swept up into their energy of they really like you, so you're just going to kind of flow with it?
that happens?
Yeah. Yeah, I've done that plenty of times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that happens. And then there's the whole guilt of like the breakup.
Mhm. Mhm.
And they're like nice.
Mhm. Yeah, I remember years ago, I was dating someone, and I I was out to lunch with my dad or something, and he was like, "Yeah, so how's it going with so and so?" And I was like, he's really nice. I just kept repeating like he's really nice, but blah blah blah. He's really nice, and my dad looks at me and just goes, "Michelle, a lot of people are nice.
Yeah,
Like this doesn't mean this is the person for you."
yeah,
But you can insert nice with like he's really tall, right? Like that's a big factor. Like he's really, I don't know, kind or whatever else. But if you're missing a lot of the other things you're craving, then it's probably not the right person for you. And I think that's okay. I think a lot of the times too, when I'm chatting with people, they feel like if they don't connect with someone on a date, or maybe they do have a couple dates and it fizzles, that it's the end of the world and they feel bad about it or they take it personally. And it's like, not everyone's going to be for you, right? You can't connect deeply and have that relationship with everyone. That's okay. It could just be a moment in time or experience for you to learn something or to just have a good time, just have a good, fun night or whatever it is.
exactly. Definitely. What do you think are like the first few steps that you've taken towards bettering your life?
Yeah. So I've noticed a pattern in myself that I start to feel this inner frustration when, and this has happened multiple times. It's kind of like a circular thing or a cyclical thing where, every humans are meant to grow, right? So I'll reach a point where I'm like, okay, I want it to be here. Okay, now I'm feeling antsy. I'm feeling frustrated. So I think that's the first thing, is noticing what's your kind of default state. Is it frustrated? Is it stressed? Is it something else that urges you to make a change? And then from there, I'm big into self-awareness. So I'm like, okay, Michelle, what's going on here? What's currently frustrating you, right? What can you start to shift? And then taking aligned action that is small at first, but it's getting you closer and closer each day to who you want to be being, or what you want to, achieve in your life, or what you want to create.
What's your thought as far as a person that you're working with, working on their self development alongside with you or alongside what you're doing with them, and them linking up with somebody who doesn't do self development?
So I don't think it's that important. My boyfriend personally, I love him. He doesn't do personal development, right?
Okay.
He's like he's on board with whatever I share, like a podcast he'll listen to and stuff like that. But it's not a huge priority for him, and I think that's okay. I think it's okay to have people in your relationship to have independent interests, right? It's not to say that that person should be pulling you down, definitely not at all. Or they should be negative about your own personal growth. Of course, they should be supportive and gung ho for it. They might not be as invested into it as you are, but I think that's okay. And like making sure that you're focusing on yourself first and attracting in those people that they might not understand it or it be a priority just yet, but they do support you. I think that's huge.
The support.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And probably when you're going over what do you want, that would be a question like, do you want somebody who is also on a similar path than you, or do you not care?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it's funny because I made that list a while ago now with my boyfriend. It's funny because I would say, checks off about 92% maybe. But one of those things I did write down is they're working on their personal growth. They're working on that. So that's something that I think if it's, the last 10 or 15% that might not align with that list, that's something you're probably going to grow into. And it might take a couple months, it might take years, whatever it may be. But I think just not restricting yourself because that person doesn't meet literally every single thing is okay, right? Everyone's going to have their own journey or perception
Yeah,
of it.
definitely. Do you prioritize the list?
I personally do not. No, I
Like,
think
like, can't have hair on their back.
So
Priority.
Yeah, right. If that's really going to irritate you, then yeah, definitely write it down for sure.
It's not one of mine. That's just what came to mind. I've done both.
Like I've definitely like on my list, I definitely wrote down, he's taller than me. He has a beard. I love beards. But it was mostly things like he's generous to people he knows and strangers alike, right? And like things like that. It was mostly how I wanted to be feeling in it.
Yeah.
Not as much the physical qualities, but those are important because you have to, of course, be attracted to someone.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Definitely. You don't want to be grossed out by them.
Right. Right.
For sure.
Of course.
What's the number one lesson you've learned from life?
Oh. So this is something that it's very simple, but when I was doing all those interviews across the country, people had gone through horrible, horrible things, right? As everyone does, right? Very stressful things, really trying times. And they were okay, right? Like they took the steps. And I think it's just like, whatever you're going through, it might not be ideal now, but you're going to be okay. You can change it. You can shift out of it. And I'm getting chills in my body now because I heard all these incredible stories, as I know you do as well. Yeah. And it's just, you're going to be okay. You have the power to shift how your life is right now. And it probably won't be overnight. It could be, but you have the power to do so. And I've seen that in my own life, but also in other people's lives so many times where it's very inspiring. It's very powerful. Yeah.
Have you ever thought about going around the country with like a romance theme?
I would personally love to do that again. Yeah. Because the first one was in 2019. And then obviously a couple years were weird, where it wasn't really the prime time to do it. But I would love to do that because a lot of people I interviewed were in relationships, right? And so they were able to spark light or like kind of like, share information on how they created that, but it wasn't solely focused on like, what exactly did you do here? What did you go through? So I would love to do that.
That would be fun. Wait, what would that look like? Would that be like interviewing actual couples that have been married for like 35 years?
I think it would be cool it would be great to have those couples on, but I think it would also be interesting to have people that, maybe it's a couple years, maybe it's a couple months, right? Maybe it's someone who even just got out of a breakup, but is okay, right? Is like excited for the future to kind of what I strive to do is interview a variety of different people. So like they might not be able to relate to me, but they can relate to someone there, right? Yeah. As I know you obviously do this too.
Yeah.
But they can resonate. So I think it would be cool to have variety, but I don't know. I have to think more on that. If you have any ideas.
I think that would be so fun.
Yeah.
You could even come up with like a really cool name for it that's like sassy
Yeah.
almost. That
Yeah.
would be cool. Or even just accompany people on dates.
That would be cool. Yeah. I
And then
just,
like the
yeah.
do's and don'ts, like where they messed up and then like where they could have done better.
Yeah. Create some type of like reality show on it or
That would be
some form.
fun. That would
Yeah.
be fun. Wow, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
Um, so we've been talking a lot about dating,
Mhm.
obviously. I'd love, and I know I gave my intro and kind of like, gave a little spiel as to who you are, but can you tell us a little
Mhm.
bit more about what you do, who you are, where people can find you? On your website right here.
Yes, my website's right here. So michellewax.com. My Instagram's Michelle Wax Dating. And yeah, so really what I do is I help people that are craving a relationship. They're ready to prioritize it. A lot of the times when people come to me, the rest of their life is pretty good, right? They have the great job, they
Yeah.
have the friends, right? They have the home that they want, but they're really craving that relationship. It's like the last missing piece, quote unquote. And so I work with people one on one, and I also have a 75-day accelerator program that's called Be the One Accelerator. So that's where, if you're ready to go, we're actually starting later on in June. If you're ready to make this priority, it's a good thing to join in on. It's a group program, and you get support not just from me, but also from other people that are in similar spots as you. And then I'm local to Boston, so I also do skip the first date events here where people can connect, and I share prompt questions. So, like deeper questions to get them connected on a deeper level. But yeah, more info's on the site and my Instagram.
Wait, tell me more about that last thing you just said.
So I am big into, as I can kind of maybe allude to that you are as well, like asking deeper questions, right? Or like getting below the surface level. And I think a lot of times with first dates or dating app conversations, they're very surface level. And quite frankly, they're very boring a lot of the times, right?
Yeah.
It's like, where do you live? What's your job? And so I wanted to create this event where people can come to it. And first of all, it's guided. So it's not really an awkward one-on-one speed dating. I don't like the term speed dating. I know it works for some people, but I wanted to create a more fun name. So I named it Skip the First Date. And each round, it's a small group. So you're not one-on-one. There's less pressure there. And I provide a prompt question like, what's something that you've been really wanting to do for years and you haven't done it yet? And why haven't you done it? So things like that are like, what's your dream, right? What's your perfect day? So getting deeper below the surface there.
So men and women attend.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming they're single.
Yes.
And it's a group setting, like y'all sit in a circle, or do they sit in classroom style, or how are they sitting?
So we have it at a local brewery here. So it's called Skip the First Date for beer lovers. Going to probably expand that to other, areas as well. But yeah, so we have a couple different picnic tables in the brewery, and then I have people in small groups. So it's normally 4 people in your group, and then I rotate people, every 10 minutes or so, so they're able to meet everyone at the event.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I
it's
love
fun.
that. So I've been thinking about doing something down here as far as dating goes.
Ooh.
That's not my expertise, so please go to Michelle. If you're looking for data, it's not my expertise at all. But I work in the sobriety community, which is exactly
Mm,
opposite of what you just said.
yeah.
But one of the issue is a sober person finding a sober person
Mm,
because that's heavy. If you're
yeah.
dealing with any sort of substance abuse and
Mhm,
you link up with somebody who you're really meshing with, but they drink or do extracurricular activities,
mhm,
drug wise. Um, it's tough, and even on the dating app, when I put no drink, I don't drink ever.
mhm,
Um, I was still linking up with people, even though I say, preferred non-drinker.
mhm.
They would say I'm not a drinker, only special occasions,
Mhm.
but that's not the case because like
Yeah.
first date in, they're drinking.
Yeah.
Not a special
Yeah.
occasion. So,
Yeah.
and it's a huge issue, and it's not a huge issue for me. I don't really have a problem with drinking, but,
Mhm.
so it wouldn't really matter to me, but it was just something that I preferred. Like, it's weird for the other person sometimes if I'm not
Mhm.
drinking, it's weird for
Mhm.
them. It's
Mhm.
not so much weird for me, but so anyways, my fiance and I met, on that dating app. He is actually in AA.
Mhm.
He's done the whole thing.
Mhm.
But one of the issues that we find is a lot of people in this sobriety community have trouble finding people.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
was thinking just like a few months ago, I was like, we should do some sort of a speed dating thing at a Hilton or something,
Mhm.
where people can meet and mingle.
Yeah, and I think it's such a great idea because what I keep hearing is that people just want to get out there now, right? Like they want to meet new people. That's what I keep hearing is like, how do you meet people that's not on an app? So I think there's a huge need for it, and just like building that connection. How I brand it is that there might not be a romantic connection you make, but you're gonna make at least a new friend, right?
Yeah,
And so and you never know who they know, whatever. So I feel like that's so awesome. And there's so many different groups that it really could be expanded out to because people are
yeah.
going to connect with, yeah, different types of people.
So did you just go to that brewery and you're like, "Hey, can I reserve the back 4 picnic tables and hang out once a month?" Or what did you?
Yeah, yeah. So they were very open to it. I've been doing it, yeah, once a month now. There's definitely demand. Last time I had 60 people on the wait list. So there's definitely a need for it. I can even imagine like so much so in the sober community as well. Um, and yeah, they were pretty open to it. And then like some other places, they wanted, they weren't as open to it, but I found a good spot for now. Yeah.
Yes. Wow, that is so cool. Very awesome. So,
Yeah.
anyone who's watching live, by the way, thank you for those of you that are watching live. We appreciate you being here, hanging out with us, and listening to Michelle's journey. Michelle, if any of these people watching, obviously they're still hanging out with us for 36 minutes here, they're interested.
Mhm.
Do they find you at your website to find your social media, or where can they link with you socially?
Yeah, so my website would be perfect, michellewax.com, and then that'll have the links to my Instagram or
Beautiful.
email if you want to reach out and connect more.
Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, success. What does success mean to you?
I love this question. So for me, it means waking up and living the day as you want to live it. And it's like the simplest thing, right? But it's being able to wake up and have the freedom to do what you want to do and feel what you want to feel as well. I have this, I don't know if we can see it here. Behind me, this little board is my words to live by list. So it's the emotions you want to be experiencing daily. So it's things like, for me, it's like peace, joy, energy, excitement, and being able to experience those, not every single day, but the majority of days, that's really what success is for me.
I like energy.
Mm, I'm
That's
huge into it.
big, you
Yeah,
know?
people feel it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely. Or even just there's people that are constantly tired all the time,
Mm,
tired. Every day they're just tired. I'm like, why are
yeah.
you so tired?
Yeah.
What is going
I
what is
know, I know. Yeah, I'm pretty much the opposite. I mean, some days I'm tired, but I found that it depends a lot on what I'm eating and like how I'm kind of like operating in the day. Because obviously, if I'm eating poorly, it's going to affect my energy a lot more than if I'm eating, more healthy.
definitely. So what's some advice, closing up here, what's some advice that you'd give to our females listening who
Mhm.
are, and males, but who are struggling with finding a partner?
Yes. So I've been there before. It can be very draining and frustrating. Something I heard from one of my coaches actually, and I loved her perception on this, was that make sure that you're giving the appropriate amount of energy to the people that you're dating or potentially dating, to like really make sure that's balanced. So not giving too much energy on the dating apps, right? In a first date, if that person isn't matching it. So you don't get drained and frustrated. And then the second thing that I love this concept, and it's easier said than fully embodying, right? It takes the personal development and mindset work, but assuming that you're going to meet the love of your life in the next year. You don't know when, you don't know how, but you're definitely going to meet them. I'm getting like chills saying this, but you're definitely going to meet them. How would you operate in the world? How would you operate in your dating life, in your daily life, knowing that this is, because the uncertainty, the unknown can be very uncomfortable,
Yeah.
right? But if you shift into this is going to happen, right? You don't know when, you don't know how are you going to operate? If you can get into that belief and start to shift into that, day by day, it's really, really powerful. And, life is crazy, but we can't say for sure, but it is likely once you're in that state of believing it, that person will actually come into your life.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so fun. That's so fun. Very cool. And that's so true. Like I don't even need that shift, and I felt that shift. Like if you knew it was going to be happening within the year, how would you roam about? And you would. You totally roam about differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, what's going to happen is it's going to have a trickle effect because anyone you do go on a date with or meet, right? They're going to feel that from you and they're going to be drawn to it. So,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah.
Because you're all vibing like you might be the one.
Yeah.
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 Oh, that's so good. Very cool. Well, it was so awesome having you. I so appreciate you taking some time out of your day to hang out and share some of your journey. Any closing thoughts before we close up here?
So I do have a free workshop coming up next week, actually, June 7th. It's 3 days that anyone that wants to join, feel free to head to my site and you'll see it there. But that would be a good place to start. If you're feeling frustrated, if you want to change your dating mindset, really attract in that person, I would love to have you join, see you on Zoom. Anyone from anyone in the world can join.
Awesome. I love that. Would you feel comfortable placing that in our Facebook group?
Yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah, definitely.
I
I'll
would
share
love
it right
that.
after this.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for those of you watching live, keep a notation of that popping up by the end of the day. Can you do it by the end of the
Yeah,
day?
I'll do it.
Cool.
Yeah, right after this.
For Michelle's free 3-day workshop.
Yes, starting
Very
next
cool.
Tuesday.
Very cool. I love that. Thank you so much for giving that to us. I love it. All right. So, that's it. Thank you so much. I so appreciate those of you that are hanging out, watching us live. For those of you that catch us on the replay, make sure you hashtag replay so we know where you are watching us at, and we can send you some love. Again, this podcast is called Her Version, and this community is expanding every single day and is filled with females who are striving to do better than they did yesterday. For those of you that are new to this podcast and like content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, follow, like, and share. If you have an amazing story to share of struggle to triumph, make sure you reach out to me here or at herversion.life. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria, and I'm so grateful to be here sharing a platform that allows people to share their truth and inspire others. Do something awesome.